there's lots of classes you can take and lots of different resources that are out there that will have positioning guides. And usually the list is very, very long, where they have a big sheet of paper, or it has to do with where baby is in the pelvis and all of that kind of thing. And that can get really confusing. It can just be a little bit too much information for what it is that you need. So when you're in early labor, we may not know where baby is positioned, how far down in the pelvis. We may not know where we're feeling tension quite yet, because labor has just started. And so this is a really good way to kind of start the process of labor and movement, and adding that into what it is that you're doing, so that you know that you're kind of covering all of your bases, making sure that it gives you a little bit of variety too, so you can help kind of time to pass a little bit as needed. And so this is where I like to start. Okay. So first we're going to get started off trying to understand why we need different categories of movements. So there in the pelvis, we're going to notice a couple of different things. One is that as baby is descending through the pelvis, baby has to spin. So we've talked about this before. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on it, but baby starts kind of off to the left side of the pelvis, spins down, and then comes out. And as baby is navigating this water slide, like as we like to call it, they have to navigate through the different areas of the pelvis. So we've got the bony prominences back here, we've got a few down inside here on the pelvic rim, and then we've got way back in here, you'll notice these two back here. And as baby is descending through this pelvis, you will notice that different positions are going to feel better. Secondly, we also have our pelvic floor that we're dealing with. And so I've kind of mocked this up. So this is just like a scarf over the pelvis, but just to kind of show us what's happening. So when we are upright and baby is down here, we've got our uterus and all of our fluids and things like that. Baby is putting pressure on that pelvic floor. And when we move forward, maybe on our hands and knees, and the pelvis is now like this, that pressure is not quite as much on the pelvic floor. Baby is still tucked up against that cervix and dilating, but the pressure isn't pushing down and pushing out on that pelvic floor. When we're standing, we're going to have a lot more pressure. When we're sitting on a ball, you're going to actually have exterior pressure coming up as well, sort of supporting that perineum and all of that pelvic floor. While you're sitting on a ball, you have the exterior pressure there. And then even though you have gravity, so it kind of evens itself out. And when we're on our side, again, it's sort of gravity neutral. You're not getting that pushing down through this way. It's more of like an even spread. So there's a lot of different positions are going to do different things for how baby is pushing on your pelvic floor. And as we're going through labor, we want to make sure that we're balancing our positioning to be both adding pressure and gravity, bringing baby down through the pelvis, but then also giving that pelvic floor a rest so that it can relax and release and expand and open and dilate and all the things that it needs to do for baby to come. The other thing too is that we only have a limited amount of energy. We're not used to standing and swaying or moving our hips or all of those different things for the amount of time that labor can often take. And so we always want to make sure that we're balancing our movement and our use of gravity with our rest. So making sure that we're using restful positions that are also beneficial to baby and opening up the pelvis for baby to come down. We can make sure that baby has lots of space, but also giving your body a rest so that you don't get too tired. The thing that I hate to see is when we finally get to the pushing stage and mom is so tired and her hips and her thighs and her back are so tired that pushing becomes difficult, or the next day they feel like they were in a car crash or something and their body is super achy and painful. And often that's because we were upright so long doing all of those different movements that it really was detrimental to their ability to push through that last phase. So we don't want to do that. So we want to make sure that we're balancing our rest. This also is one of the reasons why we like to make sure that everyone is doing lots of squatting and lots of stretching and lots of moving and walking every single day during that prenatal period, especially those last few weeks leading up towards the labor and delivery, because we want to make sure your body is conditioned and ready to be able to handle the amount of movement that it takes over your labor. Early labor can take a really long time, and sometimes it's as simple as just walking the whole time, but sometimes you're in intense enough of a labor process that you are going to be in certain positions that you're not used to being in for as long as labor